good morning or good afternoon. I hope you all can hear me well. You can reach out to me via chat if there's any questions in between, and we'll wait for a few more minutes for the other participants to join in. We should be with well over 100 people, so apparently you are all aware that this topic is quite relevant. "35 people still." Obviously, you will know, as with the other Compliance Tuesdays, that we will share the slides with you, and we will also record at least this English version and perhaps also the German and Dutch versions this afternoon, so that you can have a look again at them when they are on our YouTube channel. And I think you might need that, because this is serious stuff, to say. I would like to invite you quickly to join me on the Mentimeter to just have a quick look on how you are all into this topic. You can scan the code with your mobile phone, just the QR code, it's anonymous. I have a few questions for you, just to give us an idea of what you know already about this legislation, and or how you are involved in it. Let's say supply chain roles. It doesn't hurt, just quick scan, and then you can participate in this. Still people joining in, welcome. If you would like to join me in participating with the quick Mentimeter, we have a quick few questions to start with the event. Just scan the code with your mobile phone, you don't need to register anything, and then you can participate in answering a few questions. Thank you. Still people dropping in. We are with almost 60 now. It should be growing into 80, I think. So is it working? Mentimeter 22 of you have scanned already. Perhaps a few more. Just join me into this Q&A session at the beginning. It would be nice. Thank you. Okay. So I wonder, and you could have more than one, what kind of supply chain roles are you in? And this is relevant because it gives us an idea on maybe follow-up sessions and follow-up information that we need to provide you. Many of you probably are in multiple roles. There's many that are EU importer but have an online website as well, or an online presence. So okay, quite diverse. The EU brand owners, you are considered to be a EU manufacturer as well, with respect to responsibilities. So great. Thank you for that. this legislation is covering all kind of batteries, and the reason why it's covering that is because there are many new batteries. So this is like a quick test if you actually also are aware that there are different types of batteries, and what kind of batteries are you dealing with, or you think you are dealing with. I see. This should be quite a normal, most people will probably do portable, but nobody does starting, lighting, and ignition. Nobody does batteries that everybody needs in their car to start a car. Okay, that's interesting. Have you already pre-read this new battery regulation? Given the fact that you all deal with these batteries, especially those that are in the industrial and the EV and energy storage, if you haven't read it, I will tell you a lot about it in the next 45 minutes and 1 hour, but this is definitely going to be under your pillow and probably on the wall and probably somewhere in the corner of your office as well, because you probably throw it in the corner when you're fed up with it. But this will be your Bible. If you make money on batteries, this will be your Bible for the next few years. Having read it or not, if you have any idea what the impact will be? So if you haven't read it, but you think it's radical, you could call this procrastination. You're still scared about it. It's probably no. Okay, you are right. None of it is minor. That's correct. Great, thanks, guys. Let me jump to the keynote. So, what will be the impact of this legislation? Well, just a little bit about me. I'm Casper. Most of you probably have seen me and know me before. I'm one of the two founders of ProductIP. We are a product information platform, and we help everybody in supply chain to figure out very quickly what the relevant requirements are when you want to place a product on the EU market or the UK market. And the IP also stands for IP address because we are a web-based solution. You might have seen us as a proud partner and sponsor of Kimberly Boss, skeleton athlete from the same town where we have our head office in Ede in the Netherlands. I'll put a URL to one of her races in the presentation. Why we do Compliance Tuesday sessions? Well, it helps you, but it also helps us to understand better what is facing you. Will reduce the amount of questions that you have to us. And sometimes it's just language, sometimes it's just starting to learn some new wording. That is the case for this new legislation as well. To better understand the problem takes away part of the problem. And one of the things that we have used in the announcement of this Compliance Tuesday and many others is the word tsunami. And we do that for a reason. We don't do that lightheartedly. The reason is, and I'll take you to Station Brussels. I did it with the previous session as well, and I will do it with the next session again, because the EU is using trains and train stations as an analogy to demonstrate what is going on and what is happening and what already has happened. There are 6 platforms currently at the European legal train station. So this is not covering national legislation that member states announce. These are the large volume, long-term developments. And this time I will take you to the European Green Deal platform. The total number of all this legislation is way over 500. Yeah, 584 actually. Today we focus on platform 1, European Green Deal. And the end term of the European Green Deal, well, the first main goal is 2030. So this gives you an idea of what kind of a horizon we are looking at. But don't consider that this 2030 means that you have a lot of time. You will need every day to prepare and modify your business. We are in the expected arrival trains, because this train already, new battery regulation train, is already going on for quite some time, which is normal because there is always an initiative. In this case, the initiative is because the old one, the battery directive, is requires an overhaul because the market is different and the world is changing. And during the development of such a regulation, there are various points in time where you as market entities can respond. This is an open procedure. Sometimes people respond via business association, but this is not a closed process behind doors. Each of those regulations, and also each of those trains, have its own page where you can find the latest updates. You can contact those that are involved. If you have questions, you can even subscribe to get notifications about key developments. And so it's quite a transparent process. We move from directive to regulation in this case. Just for those that are not aware about directives and regulation, both have a goal that they want to achieve, but directives, this goal is achieved in the different member states via national legislation. So it could be different kind of processes in France than in the Netherlands. But when it's a regulation, it's all achieved via an identical national legislation, because the regulation will be one-on-one adapted into national legislation. So it's basically a language change only. You will see that most of the new developments, new legislative developments, are regulations, and which is good because it should be one kind of level playing field all across Europe. And in fact, one thing can be changed when member states make a regulation into national legislation. They can extend the scope, but in this case, they won't do that. So why is an update actually needed? Well, I told you already, the world is changing. The directive, the old one, is just old. We need to add new supply chain roles. We need to add new battery types, and we need to consider the fact that we are in an energy transition where, as a global transition, we need to upscale the battery production by a factor of 19. Okay, so 19 times more than today in the coming 5 to 10 years. Obviously, this has impact on the resources that are available, but also what is left over when the battery is no longer used, and can we reuse that? And in the old battery directive, we are already busy with recycling, but we really can improve on the circular economy. One of the things that we are going to include in the whole recycling is all those industrial batteries. Yeah? So we focus mostly, as you can see in this picture, on the portable batteries, but that scope will be very much more extended. We also need to consider social and environmental risk in the whole supply chain. Because if we just solve the problems in our part of the world by moving that problem to another part of the world, our world itself will not become a better place. So you will see that this legislation has also a huge impact on supply chain due diligence relevancy. So primarily it's by strengthening the function of the internal market, the European market. Everybody can make money, make a business in the European market, but it should be level playing field, the same rules for everybody. And we don't want that there are a lot of business issues that prevent you to expand all over Europe. There are still national implementations, but the process and the way you deal with that should become more and more harmonized, more and more identical. Circular economy needs to be promoted, and reducing environmental and social impact throughout all the stages of the battery life cycle. Okay, that's clear. This new regulation, what is in the scope? It is interesting that the first word in the scope is requirements on sustainability. So you have products, normally you will have like requirements on the product itself. It needs to be safe and it needs to be functioning very well. But here the first word is sustainability. So sustainability is really part of the essential requirements, as you will see. Of course, safety of the product, labeling and information, but it goes further. It goes also into extended producer responsibility. What that means, if you sell batteries, then you need to participate in the process of collection and treatment of batteries. You need to participate financially in that and facilitate that consumers can bring back batteries. So it's actually about the whole supply chain. It's about mining, it's about producing, it's about using, about collecting. And the ESG CSR, the social compliance and environmental compliance, is more in mining and producing. That of course transfers into product compliance during producing and using the product, and then it flows into collecting. But this one says also a lot of things about reusing, because if we collect them, we don't collect them to, to organize the waste. We want to be able to reuse the waste. So there will be parameters in producing and reusing materials from collecting. So this legislation has a very long lead time. It's not just for the next 3 or 4 years. It has parameters in 3, 5, 7, 8 goals. By that year, we want to have so much of this material from the collected batteries being reused into the new batteries. So this is quite challenging for everybody. It also mentions due diligence obligations for economic operators. So that is already what I said, but it even goes one step further. It even will bring requirements for green public procurement. So if there are governments that have to do a public procurement for certain projects, the EU will indicate how you should rate certain aspects of the battery and the due diligence of the battery when you are looking into proposal. So this goes, goes really, really far. Yeah, it's a big picture. What's the scope? Well, I did a little teaser in the Mentimeter before. Actually, the scope is all batteries. There's no escape in that sense. It doesn't limit it to a certain type like a lithium-ion or lithium polymer. It basically looks like functionalities of batteries. Obviously, the portable batteries, the ones that you and I are using in our daily life, the AA and the AAA batteries and the 9-volt blocks, they are there. The SLIs, nobody indicated that they are doing SLIs. These are starting, lighting, and ignition batteries. They might phase out when we are running out of the ICE, the internal combustion engine cars as well, but they're still there for a long time. These are basically your accu batteries in your car or in your truck. Then light means of transport batteries, LMT, and I'll come to the definitions later. Then you have electrical vehicle batteries, EV, and then you have industrial batteries. Shape, volume, weight, dense material composition, as it says, it doesn't matter at all. So the scope is, I can say the scope is all category of batteries, or the scope is all batteries. Also, when they are part of a product, and that makes this legislation quite complex, because the battery itself is a product, but the battery is a part of a product. And it can be a component. It can be a component that you need to have, otherwise the product doesn't function. If you are in the cordless, in the power tools, the battery operated power tools, they don't work without a battery, obviously. Okay. It doesn't mean that if you have batteries in a product that this doesn't apply. Actually, the consequence will be quite severe. What's about portable? Portable means sealed, not more than 5 kilo, and it's not used for electrical vehicles and LMT or SLI. And it's not designed specifically for industrial use. Okay, so this is like, it's this one, and it's not that one, portable batteries. You could also say, these are the rechargeable and non-rechargeable batteries, and you know them as the 3R12s and the DC and the AA and the button cells battery. So It's basically the most common formats that you are aware of. These are global formats, so Europe is making a head start here for the rest of the world. I doubt that battery producers will ignore a 450 million consumer market. So a lot of developments that will be necessary in the industry of making batteries. If you are an importer of buying products that have batteries, you won't be the one pushing for change. They will need to change, otherwise they cannot produce anymore. So this is obviously that we all will put the pressure on the market. What's LMT? Light means of transport. It is used for traction on wheeled vehicles. So this is for scooters, e-bikes, pedelecs. It could be a combination of motor and human power, but the battery is less than 25 kilo. It could also include vehicle category L, which are the scooters and even mopeds. But 25 kilo is here the limit. So the difference between vehicle battery, EV battery, or LMT battery is here actually the 25 kilo. But this means most of the e-bikes, you know, it's probably more than 5 kilo. It's not a portable battery, but it's probably less than 25. Or it might still be a portable battery. Then you have SLI. This is the one that we all have in our cars. If you don't have an electrical car yet, or even electric cars sometimes have SLI batteries. Typical lead zinc battery. Then the EV. This is of course the large growing market in the volume types. Electrical power for traction, hybrid or electrical, L category, above 25 kilo, and MN and O categories. So what are those categories? I'll just add them for your info. The L are the 2 and 3 wheel vehicles and quadricles. Then M is cars, N is trucks, O is trailers for trucks or for cars, and T would be agriculture and forestry, tractors and trailers. So this category is not yet in that legislation. And what about industrial battery? Well, any battery specifically for industrial use, not being any of the others, more than 5 kilo, obviously, otherwise it would be a portable. And it could also be used for energy storage. So an industrial battery could be used for internal storage. It's not the consumer or non-consumer part that is using this. So regardless of where and by whom this battery is being used, because you know, I as a consumer can use a stationary battery energy storage system, and that battery would be considered an industrial battery. Yep. So what's new? Well, all those batteries will be covered by an EU declaration of conformity. Well, that's definitely new. That means that if you had products with batteries that now those declaration of conformities, when this legislation becomes into force and the time is there, then those declaration of conformities will show the battery regulation as well as part of the CE declaration of conformity. But what do you need to declare? Well, I told you the essential requirements are much more than just product. It's about sustainability. So you need to have an opinion about things in the supply chain. And I'll come to that later because that is quite significant. And I can foresee that there are many yet anonymous manufacturers of batteries that will become obsolete in this legislation. Obvious safety requirements shall be met. I will have a list later in the presentation because they really specified now what kind of aspects these are all there, and they will start to refer to harmonized standards in order to be able to judge if batteries are met. It makes sense, you know. It's not just about heavy metals in batteries. You need to have safety requirements as well. Labeling and information requirements. This is part of the whole new movement. Not only in this legislation, you will find it in many others that the consumer has a right to be informed, and this will most likely be via QR code leading to a digital product passport. But that also means a lot of transparency. So it's not only about the battery, but it's also what's in the battery. And we will find out more about the quality of the battery, because, you know, consumer sees an AA battery, 1000 milliampere, lithium-ion rechargeable AA battery. Why is this one costing me 10 euros and the other one 5 euros? Might there be a quality difference? You can compare that with requirements that we have on bulbs, like an energy saving label. Why is it an A or a B or a C? Obviously, batteries shall not present a risk to human health, safety, persons, property, and environment. Very large scope, no escape. The authorities, in case of something goes wrong, the authorities will probably always win with a scope like this. And while because sustainability is part of this essential requirements, you need to be carefully looking at what is actually a model, because normally we would say a version of a battery that has same technical characteristics could be considered a model. But if it's relevant for sustainability and safety requirements as well, and there are labeling, markings, and information requirements, then another production route basically is another model. Yeah. Because you need to consider the sustainability and safety requirements as well. So expanding a factory means expanding sustainability reporting. Yeah? So it's not just another model. Why is this relevant? Well, if you buy products and the products, you buy them and they are shipped with a battery, if your supplier changes that battery, this is probably going to change. Yeah, but you know, we previously would say, oh, it's just an AA battery. Yeah, but now sustainability is there, and it makes it really like a critical component. You know, you need to have a battery from this brand made there and there, as that locations are part of sustainability audits. So what else is new? There will be a QR code. There will be two kinds in that sense. One is called a battery passport, and the battery passport is more directed to those batteries that are a product by themselves, like a battery that's in a car, EV batteries, or a battery that are used for energy storage. And the battery passport will be traveling with a battery and is relevant until that battery pack is going to be recycled. So it helps also the recycling industry to know what is in that battery from a you know, which raw materials are used in the battery. In many a case, the battery will be part of a product, and you have like similar kind of information, but it will morph into a digital product passport. Yeah, because the basic idea is consumers need to get an answer when they have a question: what actually am I buying? We are digital product passport ready. We have this functionality of have access to public information in the technical file, and ProductIP already launched in November 2010. So that's quite some time already. Yep. Let's move to the most common batteries that we all know. Also as a consumer, it's portable batteries. What is applicable? This is what I mentioned before about the performance and the durability. You know, it's nice that it has 1000 milliamp, but will it have 1000 milliamp after I recharge it 50 times? Or will it have, you know, if it's not a rechargeable, will it still give me 1000 milliamp if I store it for a year? So how good is it? So for all portable batteries, but not button cells, there will come a way to determine what they call electrochemical performance and durability. You will see in this presentation, and that makes this legislation quite complex to digest, is that there's quite often a time window, in this case as well, between 2 and 5 years after this regulation comes into force. Why is that? Because the EU Commission, together with many relevant people, stakeholders in the industry, will define how to measure this and what parameters should be there. And once that is there, only then the industry obviously can start working on it. So they will give themselves a certain period to establish those parameters. and they have put an end date on that process, and depending on whether or not they achieve this earlier or not, the time window will be between 2 and 5 years for performance and durability of portable batteries. That doesn't seem a lot of time, but it is not a lot of time. The moment that these parameters are defined, the industry will start to, adapt. You need to test it. You need to have test capacity, and you don't want to rush things, but you want to do them properly. It will also happen for other batteries. And there you see it already is 12 months after start, which makes sense. Because for LMT batteries, electrical vehicle batteries, rechargeable industrial batteries, there the volumes, the total volumes of those batteries are much larger, 2 kilowatt and more, even for industrial batteries. And there the performance and durability obviously is more relevant immediately. So this is actually more like the new kind of batteries growing into the market, and we start to arrange for that new growing business the performance and durability markings much earlier, 12 months after start. That is not far away. What about products with batteries? 42 months after entry into force of the regulation. Products incorporating portable batteries shall ensure that those batteries are readily removable and replaceable by the end user at any time during the lifetime of the product without any special tools. The only exception will be products that need to be waterproof. So, if sealing of the product is quite relevant, then the manufacturer need to facilitate an easy exchange of the battery. So it's not that because the battery is dead, the product is dead. And there will be products where the battery is needed to function, to have the product functioning, to, let's say, keep the data into the product. So these are like the two exceptions. And then, of course, the military industry have their exceptions. 42 months after entry into force. So I know in the market there are many products that have button cells, because this portable cells is button cells as well, like glued into a product, and they power some LED deco products, and the moment that this button cell is gone, the whole product becomes obsolete. That's of course what they want to achieve here. Reduce the waste of complete products that actually are pretty good, but the only thing that is wrong with them is that the battery has run dead. 42 months. Okay. I know already most of you are buying now almost 3/4 of a year ahead. So let's say the Christmas products of this year, but the 42 months is placing on the market. So if you talk about the quality of a battery, especially with those larger battery, you can also define what is the state of charge. So how much energy can it actually hold as part of what it originally was declared by the manufacturer, and also state of health. So how much can it give? So these are new kind of wording that you need to understand if you are into the industrial battery, energy storage systems, LMT batteries. So it's not just that you sell a battery with a certain capacity, it is also relevant that you are able to say something about state of health and state of charge in time. Yeah. And again, there will be harmonized standards, procedures, how to measure this. And but this will take time to measure. It's like an aging process. Then, if we are moving into using batteries because we want to reduce emissions here, then it makes only sense that we reduce emissions overall. Because otherwise we just will be replacing emissions from here to the area where they make the battery. And there's a measure for that, which is called carbon footprint. So you just basically calculate, just adjust, like it's an easy peasy thing. You need to calculate the greenhouses that are being released during the whole process of making the battery, transportation of the battery, using the battery, and getting rid of the battery. And so the whole life cycle. And there is a there is a basis for that, how to calculate that. And this is for the larger batteries very relevant. But if you look at this, you need to have information about you or who's making it, which models, where it's been made, the footprint over its complete life cycle stage. If it's different, you know, if you can reuse it or upscale it again. There need to be a declaration of conformity supporting that. You need to have a public link to your study of your carbon footprint. So it's not something that you can do anonymously. And if you are in EV batteries, then you have 8 to 12 months. LMT, which is also like e-bikes, 18 to 60 months. So I hope for you that they are late in Europe and that they are moving to more 60 months. But I guess they will start with EV batteries first and then copy paste and then start to use it for LMTs. And for industrial batteries, they have also 18, 30, or even 84 months. This 84 months is for a very specific kind of battery where the industry required really a lot of adjustments. There you go more into the huge power packs that are used in the high voltage infrastructure. So it's far too detailed for me to mention this in 45 or 1 hour. This is really something you need to read if this is your key market. You need to understand what is going on here and keep track of these changes. Yeah? All batteries will require documentation and labeling. That's obvious 18 to 36 months after entry into force of this regulation, they will be updated. They also should be marked with a label containing general information as laid down in Part A of Annex 6. So what is in there? Well, you need to have minimum average duration when using specific applications. So non-rechargeable portable batteries. I think we already see that in the market, like this battery can support a torch for 20 hours or a DAB radio for 20 hours, etc. And that must be obviously clear that it's a non-rechargeable battery. Rechargeable batteries, label containing information on capacity, is also not really new, but need to be very clear. Separate collection of batteries, also not really new. But there need to come a digital battery / product passport. 84 months, all batteries marked with a QR code, all batteries. So LMT EV industrial battery above 2 kilowatt, that will be the battery passport. So because this battery passport is basically traveling with that battery, and that information is very relevant for the recycler as well, because those batteries will be part of the extended producer responsibility. Up to now, we are just as consumers recycling the portable batteries, we bring them back to the store, but all those large batteries will start to be collected and dealt with as well. So we need to have applicable information, declaration of conformity, and as light batteries, how much cobalt, lead, lithium, or nickel is used and how much is recovered from waste and present in active material in the battery. Up to date, complete, accurate. Online available QR code. So, you know, if you are running a system with email, Dropbox, and an Excel sheet, and this is somewhere on a laptop in your organization, I guess it's very difficult to give access to that via QR code. What if you are a manufacturer, which means also EU brand owner? Your name needs to be there, which is normal, or trade name or logo, postal address, single contact point. So not just the address, but also who or how to reach them. New is web address and email address. You saw it in the general product safety regulation information session 3 weeks ago as well. Email address or URLs will be incorporated in how to reach supply chain entities, which is good. You know, before we always got the question, when we put our website on it, do we still need to have the postal address on it? And now they say you need to have both. If not possible on a product, which is very likely with a battery, need to be on packaging or in a document accompanying the battery. Obviously, if you have the QR code on it, it needs to be corrected there as well, in a language easily understood by end users and market science authorities. Brand owner is manufacturer. Okay. But importers, so if I'm importing batteries from a non-EU manufacturer, then I also need to be mentioned everywhere. Well, it's obviously that if you buy this from a factory and their brand and I buy it, that they will not put on the battery themselves every time the customer names, but they probably need to or will be able to put it on packaging and documents. So again, we need to have, as an importer, a web address, an email address, where people can be, where they can contact us, authorities. And importers, this is new, there is some, no, it's not new, it's mentioned specifically now in batteries. It's not, as a principle, not new, but for batteries it's new. It's called post-market surveillance. Importers carry out sample testing of marketed batteries. So in a way, importers need to monitor the quality of the products being sold over time. You know, this, if you just sell portable batteries, it doesn't really make sense to call consumers and say, hey, can I get a number of samples back from your portable batteries? But, you know, just keep a register of complaints. But if you are selling large industrial power cells that are used for storage, you need to have a system where you start to monitor and do some sampling of how well are they doing over time. Because aging, we don't have a lot of experience with those batteries. Yeah. How will you do that? Well, I think if this is your business, then you will be able to figure out what is the best way. There are also mentioning part of monitoring electronics and software part of those battery packs. So it's not that you need to go there somewhere. It could be remote and over-the-air updates. Information need to be kept, importers as well. And they need to be ensured that technical documentation is available in the coming 10 years. Don't say to me, we have an agreement with the supplier that he will send us the information, because that might be a guarantee, but it's not a guarantee when shit hits the fan and they're gone. These battery packs, especially, they will last for years and years and years. You know? So you have, if you are smart, you will have information. Now, the real headache, if the rest wasn't a headache enough, battery due diligence. What is due diligence? Well, due diligence is looking into the supply chain and trying to figure out if the way products and parts are produced and managed is not, you know, not presenting a social or environmental risk. This goes up to the mine, basically. And the way they've written down battery due diligence, I think we all have seen and read about the corporate sustainability reporting directive. Let's say the non-financial part of reporting for large corporation, and in Germany, Lieferkettengesetz, where there's a lot of impact on supply chain due diligence. But I know most of those companies that are involved, because they are having a certain size of operation, they also have private labels, and they also definitely will have batteries. And my guess is that the battery due diligence will have a far higher impact and much sooner than those corporate sustainability reporting directive or Lieferkettengesetz issues. Because this will be relevant in 24 months after it's been signed up. And it's relevant for economy operator that place batteries on the market. Placing on the market means importing or branding, or making in Europe is also a factory in Europe is also placing on the market. Importing them is placing on the market. Selling them on the private label is placing them on the market because you are a manufacturer as such. The threshold is economic operators with a net turnover of 40 million last year. If you're under that, then you don't need to do anything this year. If you're over that, so if your business is growing, but look at the market, you know, could say 40 million is not a lot, but for most entities that are dealing with batteries on large scale, the 40 million is very easy threshold. Yeah. But this easy threshold is not due diligence easy as in threshold, because you need to have a policy, and And where in the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive or Lieferkette says there are others that need to be signing off your effort, here the due diligence policy need to be verified by a notified body. So this is not your accountant. This is somebody that is assigned as notified body by the EU. They are obviously not yet there. That's why you have the 24 months, but they will be there very soon, because this is probably an interesting business model for TIC, for testing, inspection, and certification labs. There's no way in the market that people will start to do due diligence on a supply chain that has no certified components. There will be coming certified battery production sites and certified logistic partners and certified mining operations, because you can, if you start to connect certified schemes, which is allowed and is also written down as part of the due diligence policy, if you're connecting certified schemes, then you'll be able to deal with this much faster and much more efficient, also in terms of finances, as when you have to set up its own. So this due diligence policy verified by a notified body, which will be an EU entity, will probably be done by large battery manufacturers and then resulted in certified schemes. So you will need to source products from certified schemes. Yeah. But if you think, okay, I'm quickly going to buy some power tools with batteries, and you forget this, and your total turnover is more than 40 million, you're pretty much screwed, because sustainability is an essential requirement. If you didn't do this, you have a recall, and probably more. Yeah. The guidelines for due diligence will come within 18 months, I hope, because we have 24 months to deal with that. What about extended producer responsibilities? This is the recycling part. So if you sell products to consumers, you need to participate in extended producer responsibilities, packaging, electronic recycling, etc. Batteries as well. Although there will be national systems, there will be an alignment in the way this will be done. So there will come public registers, and I wrote down similar to the German system, similar to BATG or Stiftung EAR, a public system where you can register, I'm selling batteries under this brand, these types, these volumes in this year. Distributors need to verify EPR participation of producers. So if I'm selling Casper batteries in the Netherlands, then I could register them all in the Netherlands for distributors, but most likely is that distributors themselves will also register. So what they say here is that everybody in the supply chain need to start asking questions to the previous one in supply chain if they really fulfilled their due diligence. And participating in extended producer responsibility is part of due diligence as well. If you want to participate in selling products to authorities or contracting entities that have to participate in public procurement activities, then you need to be aware that if you really want to stand a chance that your quote is being looked at, that you need to score points on the green public procurement scale. That scale is not yet defined, but it is defined that it will be managed via this legislation, which makes sense. If you as a business spend a lot of time in making these products according to this legislation, and this will not be rewarded when you are participating in a procurement request by a government or contracting entity, that would be silly. But you see how broad the scope of this legislation is. It's really amazing. Let's go quickly back to the digital battery passport. Of course, it needs to be fully interoperable. Oh, that's an interesting word. With other digital product passport, which makes sense because it's basically the same principle. It's just a QR code. And the only difference is the battery passport travels with the industrial battery or storage system, and the digital product passport, it's more like the consumer product or the consumer battery. What will be in there? In the future, 24 months approximately, for non-rechargeable portable batteries, duration, average time, discharge in different application, performance information, you need to be resistant to leakage, etc., etc. Yeah, so these requirements basically are not new, but as they are now become part of the compliance process, and you need to declare that you meet those requirements on a declaration of conformity, makes it more specifically relevant for you. Rechargeable, obviously, charge capacity retention and charge capacity recovery. So how good are they over time in cycles? So here you actually see endurance in cycles as well, like an energy label, like a performance label. So consumers will know why this battery is more expensive than the other one. And what you promise here need to be true, obviously. They also defined safety parameters for batteries. Most of you probably are already aware of them, but now that they are defined and these aspects need to be covered by testing according to harmonized standards, then you will find those aspects back into requirement list. Yep. So this is really a more comprehensive scope, not leaving a lot of room for forgetting topics, basically. Manufacturer, battery type, manufacturing place, especially for the larger batteries, date, so when it's been made, weight, capacity, chemistry. So there's a basic recipe there, which is relevant if you want to recycle large batteries. You need to understand how they've been made. Any other hazardous substances than already mercury, cadmium, or lead that are already limited, which makes sense. This is like substances of very high concern logic. In case of large batteries, how to extinguish them when they are on fire, what kind of extinguishing agent you need to use, and if there are any critical raw materials over 0% weight by weight. And the raw materials that are critical are like the lithium and cobalt, etc. Yeah. Oh yeah, cobalt, natural graphite, lithium, nickel, or a chemical component based on that. So if you have using any of those over 0% weight by weight, which probably you are using, then you need to indicate how much of that is as raw material used and how much is used as part of the recycled. And the recycled material percentage will increase over time, obviously. And over time is 3, 4, 5, 7 years, long-term planning. Yeah? It makes sense that it is long-term planning because it takes time for the industry to adjust. Who needs to do the due diligence? Any economy operator. There's some information out there on the internet where I've seen that it's also written distributors, which would be retail. I don't think that is correct, because if it says place products on the market that are manufacturers, EU brand owners, and importers. If it are distributors, distributors make products available to the market, which is not the same. One interesting aspect here, if you are a company that imports batteries just for use in your own product or operation, so you have no customer for the batteries other than yourself, you still need to do due diligence if your turnover is more than 40 million a year. Yeah. Obviously, group level, not per subsidiary. Otherwise, you would make one limited company under the group that does not do 40 million, and then you would use those structures to avoid this kind of legislation. The due diligence scope is immense. It's, you know, if you read it, you think it's everything. Yeah, but that is the logic behind it. From a government point of view, it should be anything. So we have never a discussion. So how can you do this if you are a EU brand owner buying a let's say a non-branded, non-certified batteries from a non-branded, non-certified source, and you skip sources as well, even if they're part of the product? You cannot. If you look at this scope, what you all need to consider: climate, health, water, flora, soil, human rights, labor rights, etc., and UN principles, ILO, Paris, OECD. The list is just endless. And obviously, also here, the EU will start to define the scope much clearer. Probably look at SA 8000 style listing and say there's A category, B category, C category, D. E. So there's a lot of things out there that they will probably start to use. My point is, if you have products that are operated on a battery and you actually have no idea about the supply chain of that battery, then you start to run into trouble very, very quickly. You know, somebody needs to start to be able to say something about that battery. And you cannot just do it by yourself. That makes it tricky. Annual product review. So this is full transparency as well. There is a lot to take in. So I was coming up with conclusions, and I could summarize what I have said, but I think it's better to come to conclusions that have really related to your business. I think this overhaul will really significant and seriously impact a lot of businesses. There will be businesses also further along in the supply chain that won't be able, for example, to redo tooling, and won't do that investment because the quantities are simply not there. If consumers will have the right to replace batteries, then this probably means new tooling for many a case. I think most of the companies involved in the supply chain when selling products with batteries are doing more than 40 million. But will you, and I'm not the only one, but will you still sell batteries that are your own brand? And will you start to act as a manufacturer in that sense? I think it's most likely the market will change to really, I call it my A brands batteries. But will there be sufficient availability, and what will this do for price? Yeah. Many products, in fact, need batteries, but will there be sufficient batteries available that can pass all those criteria? That is really a key question. Now, it's one thing to have a product where the consumer can replace the battery, but if the battery is really not, if the type of battery is not really a necessary aspect of the function of the product, the type, I mean, basically the brand, you can have like a LED lighting with a battery pack, and it doesn't really matter which brand of AA battery goes in there, which is a little bit different. If you sell power tools with a battery pack, you probably want to know a little bit about that battery pack. So if you don't want to know anything about a battery pack, will you still buy products and ship them with batteries? I don't think so. I think you will see more and more products out there in the market that doesn't have batteries, but just say, buy yourself 2 AA batteries to power this product. Because the hassle is just immense. Yeah. Because if you deal with batteries or products that contain batteries, you need to have a proper product compliance management system. There's no way that you can keep track and do reporting with this if you don't have a complete process and system in operation. You can also not have this depending on one person. If this person leaves the company, then your business is gone. This will be very strategically to be organized. You need to have the evidence and data there for 10 years, which is a long time. You need to do post-market surveillance if you are an importer, which is quite relevant. You need to make declaration of conformities for batteries, or if you have products with batteries, you need to merge that information that is relevant for the battery, like a critical component. You need to merge that information on the product declaration of conformity. So you can see that a point like 0.7, this is something that keeps us as ProductIP awake, because we know you have batteries as product, but you will also have products with batteries, and this will impact the DOC. Is there good news? Well, besides that, the thing that we can all, as consumers, think that it's good news that there is due diligence, but from a business point of view, I think the only really easily part will become extended producer responsibility. It will become more harmonized, more aligned across the EU member states, how to report on the recycled quantities of batteries over time. And that is, of course, good. but maybe also it's good that the market will face green procurement procedures, but that's up to you if you find that positive or not. What about support from our side? Well, we are a product compliance management system. And as you see that there's so much different things, so many different things to track over time for different kind of batteries. So those battery types will be battery types in the ProductIP product list. And the moment the EU has released certain detailed information and those time periods, like say 12 to 60 months or 24 to 60 months will become more clear, we will obviously update our requirement list database and add that as content. So if you use ProductIP, at least you are aware of the timing, but to know the impact and to start implementing the impact into your sourcing and product development process, that's something that you need to do by yourself. Digital product passport, if you use ProductIP, this functionality that we already have will automatically develop into what you need to use when you have products and or batteries. You don't need to invest in IT, you can start using it today. You can even start using it because it's web-based to push compliance work back into the supply chain where it belongs, because otherwise you are dealing with an effort per order and those factories need to deal with it making batteries 24/7. So when is this all going to be signed off? Well, the common consensus is somewhere in the next 2 to 3 months, so Q2 of this year. And then the first impact is 24 months, 12 to 24 months was the first impact. So that will be implementations needed by 2025 already. And that means that you need to start ASAP. So especially if you are not in the portable battery business, but in battery packs or product with battery packs or industrial or LMT, or you are starting to move into those new storage systems, you start to download, and I will add the latest text as PDF to the slides. You need to read it. And I've read a lot of regulations and directives in my life. I needed to read this one a couple of times to really digest it. It is so much. And I can imagine that if you read it and you start to think about the impact on your business, we started to read it and think about the impact on our business supporting your business. That's already massive, but I can only imagine what it means for you. It also probably means that you will start to do some detailing about what actually do we know about the products that have batteries this moment. And maybe we need to start buying batteries as a source for those products in the future, or start to change our proposition and start to offer products without batteries. What about liability? There's already a lot of liability aspects, but there is something that's called the Product Liability Directive. We will have an event on that November 21st. In general, no technical documentation, and something goes wrong, you, in this case, you as management, are liable, because you should only place products on the market when there's an assumption of compliance. And if you have no technical documentation, you cannot have an assumption of compliance. So that means it's like with you are in an accident in the winter and you didn't have winter tires. That is a decision that you made yourself, and you are also liable for the accident. This 21st of November event will be done, co-hosted by Reuslo. And the reason for that is that this involves also management liabilities, and probably things that you need to take care of with contracts as well. Yeah, you can still sign up for that and the other events via our Compliance Tuesday event. If you have landed at this event because somebody tipped you, go to this ProductIP Compliance Tuesday, thank you for coming. But if you want to stay informed by yourself, check your email preferences at connect.productip.com. Install the app, look us up at LinkedIn or YouTube, and if you go to YouTube, subscribe and like our videos. That would be great. I'm not sure if you go to Hong Kong next month. We will be there. I mean, ProductIP obviously has an office in Hong Kong and in Shenzhen, but Martin and I myself will be in April as well. We'll be at the Global Sources and the HKTDC Electronic Fair. And we will have a seminar, like a comprehensive seminar about the different topics that we are dealing with on the Regulatory Tsunami Compliance Tuesday sessions, April 17. So you were welcome to sign up for that one. That is this for today. Keep calm, stay compliant, stay electrified, probably. If there's any specific questions at the moment in the chat or not, or ask them later when I'll share the information to you via the email. If not, I'll thank you all for joining. Stay healthy, have a good lunch or dinner if you are far away, or breakfast if it's very early some parts of the world, and looking forward to see you again. Thank you and bye-bye.